All right, we're up. What's up, football fans? Big Al here on this Tuesday, December 13th, 2022, and welcome to another edition of the week that was, as I run down all the offensive and defensive statistics from every game in week number 14 in the National Football League. And coming up at the end, an updated look at the NFL standings, plus my Week 15 power rankings. Now, I had to draw them up a number of times because I had a tough time ranking some teams, but I think I have the right teams in the right spots this week. So stay tuned for my power rankings at the end of this video. In the meantime, let's dive right in to week number 14 in the NFL, the week that was. And we're starting off, as we always do, with Thursday Night Football. And a game that was mired in a little bit of controversy in many NFL circles, as the Las Vegas Raiders visited the Los Angeles Rams. Vegas came in with a 5-7 record, and they came in pretty hot, having won 3 games in a row. They were sitting at number 20 in my Week 14 power rankings. Meanwhile, the injury-plagued defending Super Bowl champions entered with a 3-9 record and ranked at number 31. So, yeah, there's a lot of issues with the Rams. There's no Matthew Stafford. There's no Aaron Donald. I mean, you have injuries up and down this roster. And John Wolford, who was starting in place of Stafford, I think he got hurt too. So what did the Rams do? They claimed former Panthers and Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield off waivers and led the Rams on a 98-yard touchdown drive to erase a 13-point deficit and defeat the Raiders 17-16. Now, this is the 5th time this season that the Las Vegas Raiders have lost a game after leading by double digits. So imagine where they'd be right now if they didn't blow all these games. All right, both teams ran about the same amount of plays. The Raiders ran 58 plays while the Rams ran 57. Passing, the Rams had 35 passing plays. The Raiders had 20. And Vegas ran the ball 38 times. The Rams 22 times. Total yards favored Las Vegas, 302 to 282. Passing yards were 211 for Los Angeles, 137 for Vegas. But rushing more than a 2-1 edge to the Raiders, 165 to 71. The Rams picked up 20 first downs in this game. The Raiders had 17. And for the year, 262 first downs for Vegas and 228 for the Raiders through 13 games. The Raiders finished 5 of 13 on third down for 38.5%. The Rams were 4 for 12 for 33.3%. And both teams went 1 for 1 on fourth down. Both teams also were flagged 7 times. The Raiders had 94 yards on their 7 penalties. The Rams had 60 on their 7 penalties. Time of possession was pretty close, with the Raiders edging out the Rams at 30 minutes, 21 seconds to 29 minutes and 39 seconds. All right, Vegas's defense recorded 40 tackles, 20 solo tackles, Their totals through 14 weeks is 558 and 223. Meanwhile, the Rams defense record 35 tackles and 3 solo tackles. Their totals are 528 and 191. The Raiders registered all 4 sacks in the game, which brings their season total to 25, while the Rams stayed put at 26. There was one forced fumble in the game. It was by the Raiders, their 10th of the year. Rams remain at 9. All right, Vegas had 2 passes defense in the game. That's 36 on the year. Rams had 3 passes defense, bringing their total to 44. Raiders defense did not record an interception. The Rams recorded a couple. So now LA has 9 INTs. Vegas remains with 4 INTs and 2 defensive touchdowns. The closing line in this game was Vegas -6, and the over-under was set at 42.5. The 2 teams combined for 33 points, so this game goes under the total. I picked the Raiders to win this game 28-17, so I took the straight-up loss, and I also picked Vegas to cover the 6-point spread, which they did not, losing by a single point. So I lost the ATS pick as well. On to the Sunday portion of the schedule. And the first of 2 matchups in the AFC North, pitting the 8-4 Baltimore Ravens and the 5-7 Pittsburgh Steelers. The Ravens came in at number 9 in my Week 14 power rankings. The Steelers at number 18. And just like any Ravens-Steelers matchup, this was a dogfight. Lamar Jackson, of course, is out with an injury. So the Ravens had another quarterback in. And he didn't throw all that much. Only 17 throws, but we'll get into that in just a sec. Baltimore used their ground game in this one to edge themselves ahead of the Steelers by a final of 16-14. All right, so in this game, the Ravens ran 59 plays, 17 passes, as I said, and they ran the ball 42 times. The Steelers ran 51 plays, 31 passes, and 20 runs. Total yards and passing yards both favored the Steelers. 329 yards total offense for Pittsburgh, 309 for Baltimore. As far as passing yards, 264 for the Steelers, just 94 for the Ravens. And that matched a career, or not a career low, but a season low for the Ravens. The Ravens, though, outgained the Steelers rushing 215 yards to just 65. The Steelers had 23 first downs versus Baltimore's 18. And on the season, the Ravens now have 269 first downs, the Steelers 259. Baltimore finished 4 of 13 on third down for 30.8%. And 1 for 2 on fourth down for 50%. The Steelers, meanwhile, finished 50% on third down, 4 for 8, and no fourth down plays. Baltimore was flagged 5 times for 46 yards. The Steelers only twice for 15. Time of possession was 32 minutes and 59 seconds for the Ravens, and 27 minutes and 1 second for the Steelers. Baltimore's defense recorded 40 tackles, 25 solo. Season totals are 545 and 310. Steelers 44 tackles, 8 solo. Totals are 544 and 211. Each team registered 2 sacks, which brings Baltimore's season total to 39, and Pittsburgh's total to 25. The Steelers forced a fumble in this game. That's their 15th of the season. Baltimore remains at 12. The Ravens defense recorded 6 passes defense. They're up to 57 on the season, while the Steelers only had 1, which brings their total to 65. And how about this Raven defense being opportunistic? They had 3 interceptions in this game, which brings their season total to 14. The Steelers didn't have an interception, so they too remain at 14 with 1 defensive touchdown. Closing line was Pittsburgh minus 1.5, and the over-under was, and I didn't even write the over-under down. I think I got the Sports Alert app up on my phone. Give me just seconds. Okay, my Sports Alert app wasn't up on my phone, so I'm opening it now. So I thought I had this. Okay, Ravens Steelers, where are you? Here you are. Okay. The closing line was Pittsburgh minus 1.5. I did have that written down. What I didn't have written down was the closing over under, which was 36.5. And they came close to that number as the two teams combined for 30 points. So this game finished under the total. I picked the Ravens to win 26-17, even without Lamar Jackson, and to cover the 2-point spread, which was then dropped to 1.5 at close. So that's my first win, both straight up and against the spread this week. So I'm 1-1 both ways. All right, the other game in the AFC North is the rematch of the Battle of Ohio, as the 5-7 Cleveland Browns met the 8-4 Cincinnati Bengals. These two teams played in Cleveland on Halloween, and the Browns just absolutely smashed them. They won that game, I think, 32-13, if my memory is right. All right, Cincinnati came into this game ranked at number 7 in my Week 14 power rankings. The Browns way down at number 24. Joe Burrow had never beaten the Cleveland Browns in his career, but that all changed Sunday as Cincinnati wins this one by a final score of 23-10. All right, looking at the offensive numbers for both teams. 68 total plays, 43 passes, and 25 runs for the Browns. 59 plays, 33 passes, and 26 runs for the Bengals. Total yards were 363 for Cincinnati, 344 for Cleveland. Passing yards favored the visiting Browns, 273-227, but the Bengals had the edge in rushing, nearly 2-1, 136-71. The Bengals recorded 23 first downs, the Browns 18. So on the year through 14 weeks, the Browns have 282 first downs, the Bengals 294. Both teams really not that good on fourth or third downs in this game. Cleveland finished just 4 of 15 for 26.7%, while Cincinnati was 6 of 15 for 40%. And on the season, they now have at 52%. That's the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati did not record a fourth down play in this game. However, the Browns had 6 of them while converting 3. That's 50%. And boy, were the Brownies hit hard with the flags in this one. 9 flags for Cleveland for 98 yards versus just 4 penalties and 36 yards for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Browns defense recorded 36 tackles, 15 solo. Season totals are 521 and 241. Bengals 57 tackles, 43 solo. Totals are 540 and 246. And just like in the Ravens-Steelers game, these two teams also had a couple of sacks. Cleveland's sack total is now at 27. Cincinnati sits at 24. There were no fumbles forced by either defense. Both teams remain with 9. But there were a lot of passes defensed in this game, 15 in total, 8 by the Browns, 7 by the Bengals. Cleveland now has 62 passes defensed in 13 games. The Bengals have 53. And each team recorded an interception. For Cleveland, it's their 6th of the year, along with a defensive touchdown. And for the Bengals, it's their 9th INT of 2022. Closing line in this game was Cincinnati -4, and the over-under was 47. And the two teams combined for 33 points, so the under hits here. I picked the Browns based on previous matchup history. I picked them 24-21, and I picked them to cover the points as the visiting underdog. Obviously, Cincinnati wins and covers, so I lost both picks. So now I'm 1-2, both straight up and against the spread. All right. From the Buckeye State battle to the Lone Star State battle. The 1-10-1 Houston Texans, who has not won a game since October, visited AT&T Stadium to face the 9-3 and possibly playoff-bound Dallas Cowboys. Of course, the Texans came in dead last in my Week 14 power rankings. They've been at number 32 for a while. The Cowboys are near the top. They came in at number 4. And it looked like for a while that Houston was going to pull a major upset at Jerry's house on Sunday. But Dak Prescott led a late game drive to push the Cowboys ahead. And Dallas winds up winning this one 27-23. Even though Dak Prescott and many of the big offensive weapons for Dallas really didn't have that great of a game. All right, the Texans ran 64 plays, 27 passes, and 37 runs. The Cowboys, meanwhile, ran 70 plays, 39 passes, and 31 runs. Total yards for 404 for Dallas and 327 for Houston. Passing yards also favored the Cowboys, 277-213. Rush yards also favored the Cowboys, barely though, 127-114. Dallas had 21 first downs. Houston had 16. Through 13 games, the Texans have 213 first downs. The Cowboys 262. Both were pretty good on third down in this game. 7 of 15 and 46.7% for the Texans. 8 of 15 for 53.3% for Dallas. Both teams attempted 2 fourth down plays. The Texans did not convert on any of theirs. Dallas was fortunate to convert on one of their 2 fourth down plays. The Texans had 4 penalties for 25 yards. The Cowboys 3 for 10 yards. Time of possessions, 33 minutes, 14 seconds for Houston. 26 minutes, 46 seconds for Dallas. As far as the defenses are concerned, the Texans records 41 tackles, 10 solo. Their season totals are now 620 and 296. Cowboys defense, 47 tackles, 16 solo. Totals are 568 and 321. The lone sack in this game went to the Houston Texans. That's their 31st of the season. While the Dallas Cowboys, who came into week 14 as the sack kings in the NFL, didn't record one this week and stays at 48. Each team forced a fumble in the game. For Houston, it's their 8th of the year. And for the Cowboys, their 17th, which would tie the division rival Giants for most in the NFL. We'll tell you if the Giants forced a fumble against the Eagles a little bit later. The Texans record a season-high 11 passes defense against the Dallas offense, bringing their total to 51. While the Cowboys recorded 4 passes defense, their total is up to 44. The Texans defense had 2 interceptions, the Cowboys 1. Both teams have 10 INTs, but Dallas also has a defensive score. Closing line in this game was Dallas minus 17, and the over-under was set at 44.5. And this game finished over the total as the two teams combined for 50 points. I took Dallas to win 34-17. And I took Houston to cover that massive 17-point spread. Losing by 4 really, really helps. So now I'm back to 500 in my picks, both straight up and against the spread at 2-2. Next up, we head down to the AFC South, where the division-leading Tennessee Titans, trying to snap a 2-game losing streak, as they played host to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tennessee came in with a 7-5 record, Jacksonville at 4-8. The Titans were ranked number 12 in my Week 14 power rankings. The Jaguars at number 25. And apparently, Nissan Stadium has been a house of horrors for the Jacksonville Jaguars, especially in recent years. The Jaguars' last win against the Titans in Nashville, you have to go all the way back to 2012. So they had lost their last 9 trips to the Music City. Well, that streak's over of the season, and leading Jacksonville to a 36-22 stunner over the Titans. Jacksonville ran 67 plays, 42 passes, and 25 runs. Tennessee ran 58 plays, 38 rushes, and 20 runs. All right, total yards were 428 for Jacksonville, 364 for Tennessee. Passing yards also favored the Jaguars. Big, 368 to 227. And rushing yards favored the Tennessee Titans, 137 to 60. 137 to 60. And I read the stat sheet for the Tennessee Titans. I think Derrick Henry had 121 of those yards. Each team finished with 22 first downs. The Jaguars, through 13 games, now have 274 first downs. Tennessee, through 13 games, have 208 first downs, and that's the fewest of any team in the AFC and the second fewest in the entire league. The Jaguars finished 6 of 13 on third down for 46.2%. Tennessee 5 of 10 for 50%. Each team 0 for 1 on fourth down. The Jaguars had 9 penalties in this game for 70 yards, so they were getting hit with the laundry early and often. Titans had 5 penalties for 50 yards. Time of possession is 32 minutes and 52 seconds for Jacksonville and 27 minutes, 8 seconds for the Titans. So you sense a theme here. The first 5 games that I've mentioned here on offense, The visiting team had the edge in time of possession. 5 for 5. Jacksonville's defense records 42 tackles, 17 solo. Totals are 560 and 237. The Titans recorded 49 tackles, 28 solo. Totals are 603 and 312. Jaguars defense records 4 sacks on the afternoon, bringing their season total to 23. Tennessee did not record a quarterback takedown in this game. They stay at 33. All right. Jacksonville forced 2 fumbles in this game. They're up to 12 on the season. Tennessee did not, keeping their total to 10. Keeping their total at 10. Let me rephrase that. Sorry. Each team had 8 passes defense. Jacksonville, which had been among the league leaders in passes defense, remains there with 76 on the season. And I think they may have gained the top spot back. Meanwhile, Tennessee has 59 after their 8 on Sunday. Only 1 interception in this game, and that was recorded by Jacksonville, their 10th of the season. Tennessee remains at 9 picks, and both teams have a defensive touchdown. Closing line is Tennessee -3, and the over-under is 42. This game shot over the total as the 2 teams combined for 58 points. I picked Tennessee to win and to cover. I lost both picks. So now I'm sitting at 2-3, both straight up and against the spread. Our next game is the Minnesota Vikings with a 10-2 record, visiting Ford Field to face Jared Goff and the 5-7 Detroit Lions, one of the hottest teams in the NFL that no one's talking about right now, winners of 4 of their last 5. And this game had a lot of weight for Minnesota because a victory or a tie would clinch the NFC North Division Championship. Well, apparently on this day, the Lions had other plans. Detroit wins this one 34-23, and the Vikings will have to wait another week to claim a division championship. The Vikings ran 58 offensive plays, 41 passes, just 17 runs. The Lions offense ran 69 plays, 39 passes, and 30 runs. Both teams were over 400 yards of offense in this game, 464 for Detroit and 416 for Minnesota. And both averaged at or around 7 yards per offensive play. All right. Both teams at well over 300 yards through the air, with the Vikings outgaining the Lions in this category, 394-330. Rushing yards, big edge to the Lions. They had 134 yards on the ground, while the Vikings were limited to only 22. That's it, 22 rushing yards the entire day. They averaged about 1.3 yards per run against the Lions. Each team had 23 first downs. Vikings now have 281 through 13 games. The Lions a few more than that, 290 through 13 games. Minnesota finished 4 of 10 on third down for 40%. The Lions 7 of 15, 46.7%. Each team was 1 for 2 on fourth down. Minnesota had 3 penalties for 25 yards, while Detroit had 7 penalties for 51. Time of possession, 31 minutes and 54 seconds for the Lions. So this is the first home team in week 14 to win the time of possession battle. The Minnesota Vikings held the ball for 28 minutes and 6 seconds. Defensively, the Vikings recorded 53 tackles, 35 solo. Totals on the season are 601 and 373. The Lions defense records 47 tackles, 33 solo. Their totals through 13 games are 613 and 356. Detroit's defense registered 4 sacks on Kirk Cousins, bringing their total to 26. Minnesota did not record a sack, so their total remains at 30. They didn't force a fumble either, as that total stays at 8. The Lions forced a couple fumbles, bringing their total to 13. And 4 passes defensed by Detroit's defense and 1 by the Vikings. The 4 passes defensed on Sunday brings the Lions to 45, and Minnesota with their 1, their total goes to 71, which right now would be 3rd in the NFL. Neither team recorded an interception, so the Vikings are still at 12 picks, while the Lions are at 9 interceptions with 1 touchdown. The closing line in this game was Detroit minus 2.5. Over under was 51.5, and these two teams combined for 57 points. So if you took the over in this game, good job. I took the Lions to win 30-24 and to cover the points. I got both picks right. So now I'm back to 500 in my straight up NATS picks at 3-3. Okay, on we go now to the AFC East. As the 9-3 Buffalo Bills look to exact revenge from a Week 9 loss to the 7-5 New York Jets. Going into the week, if the playoffs already began if the playoffs began on Sunday, the New York Jets would have been a playoff team, and Buffalo would have been AFC East champions. As for the last game, in terms of power rankings, the Vikings were number 6 in the, and in this game, the Jets came in number 17. They've been in a funk recently, and the Bills came in number 5. All right, this was a revenge game for Buffalo, and they did get the revenge as their defense came out and held the Jets to 12 points and under 100 yards rushing in a 20-12 victory. 69 plays, 47 passes, 22 runs for the Jets, and that's a week after they recorded 82 plays against Minnesota. And then 51 plays, 27 passes, and 24 runs for Buffalo. And there really wasn't a lot of offense in this game. The Jets, who had 484 yards of offense last week against the Vikings, were held to 309 this week. The Bills only had 232. All right. Passing yards favored the Jets, 233-130. Rushing yards favored the Bills, 102-76. First downs are 19-14 for New York. The Jets now have 235 first downs. The Bills have an even 300. The Jets, who are among one of the worst third down converting offenses in the NFL, did pretty well on Sunday. They went 8 for 17 for 47.1%. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills, who had the highest third down conversion rate in the NFL entering week 14, They were 2 for 13 on third down. That's not good. 15.4%. So now they're under 50% conversions on third down for the season. All right, the Jets attempted a fourth down play. They did not convert. The Bills did not have a fourth down play. New York had 7 penalties for 61 yards. The Bills had 5 for 35. Time of possession is 34 minutes and 25 seconds for the Jets and 25 minutes and 35 seconds for the Bills. The Jets defense records 39 tackles, 25 solo. Totals are 551 and 255. Bills defense record 53 tackles, 32 solo. Totals are 579 and 288. The Jets defense had 3 sacks on the day, bringing their total to 39. Buffalo had 1 more. They had 4, bringing their total to 35. And the Bills would force not 1, not 2, but 3 fumbles in this game, bringing their season total to 8. The Jets did not record a fumble, so they're stuck at 9. New York finished with 2 passes defense, bringing their season total to 60. Buffalo added another 7 passes defense for a total of 72. This puts them second in the NFL, trailing only Jacksonville, who has 76. No interceptions on either side. Jets remain with 12 and a touchdown. The Bills remain with 13 and a touchdown. Closing line is Buffalo minus 10, and the over-under is 43.5. This game finishes under as the 2 teams combined for 32 points. I took the Bills to win 26-20, and I picked New York to cover the 10 points. I won both picks. So finally, I'm back above 500 this week. Both straight up and against the spread. My record is 4-3. If you're just joining me, you're watching the week that was as I run down the offensive and defensive stats from week 14 in the National Football League. We still have 6 games left to look at. And after those 6 games, we'll update the NFL standings, and I'll give you my Week 15 power rankings, so stick around. Okay, the final game on the early slate on Sunday afternoon is the Philadelphia Eagles visiting the Meadowlands to face the New York Football Giants. Philly enters with a record of 11-1, while the Jets, or not the Jets, we just talked about them. The Giants, rather, they came in with a 7-4-1 record. Of course, the last game they played was a 20-20 tie with the Washington Commanders on that very field at MetLife Stadium. Well, this game wouldn't be close at all, as Jalen Hurts and that high-flying Eagles offense just wrecked the G-Men. Philadelphia wins going away, 48-22. Oh, and by the way, the Eagles had a chance to clinch a playoff berth with a win or either losses by both San Francisco and Seattle. Well, they didn't need the help because they handled their business. The Eagles ran 62 offensive plays, 31 passes, 31 runs, evenly distributed. 55 offensive plays for the Giants, 32 passes, and 23 runs. Total yards for 437 for Philadelphia, 304 for the Giants. Passing yards were very close, 184-181. Advantage goes to the Eagles. Rushing yards, big advantage to the Philadelphia Eagles, 253-123. Eagles have 27 first downs in this game, while the Giants had 18. And on the season, Philadelphia now has 306 first downs through 13 games. The Giants have 266. Philly closed the game 6 of 11 third down for 54.5%. New York 4 for 13 for 30.8%. The Eagles had 1 fourth down play in the game, which they convert. And they are one of the best fourth down offenses in football. They're now at 76% on the season. And that's second in the NFL, is trailing only the LA Rams. New York, they weren't too shabby themselves on fourth down. They went 2 for 3 for 66.7%. And Philly cut down on the flags in a big way in this one. After recording 12 penalties last week against Tennessee, the Eagles committed only 2 flags in this game for a meager 9 yards, while the Giants were flagged 5 times for 34. Time of possession was 32 minutes and 30 seconds for the Eagles, 27 minutes, 30 seconds for the G-Men. All right. The Eagles defense records 47 tackles, 30 solo. Totals are 556 and 271. The Giants recorded 55 tackles and 38 solo. Totals are 554 and 245. Okay, how about this Philadelphia defense getting to the quarterback? They added 7 more sacks against Daniel Jones and the Giants, which brings their total to 48 and ties them with the Dallas Cowboys for the league lead. Giants also got to Jalen Hurts a few times too, 4 to be exact. Their season total is 28. And getting back to the Philadelphia defense, dating back to last week against Tennessee, this defense has recorded 13 sacks. 13. They had 6 last Sunday against Tennessee and 7 this week against the Giants. Philly's defense also forced a fumble in this game. That's their 11th of the season. The Giants will stay put at 17, which pulls them into a tie with the Cowboys. Philadelphia recorded 3 passes defense, bringing their total to 68. The Giants had a couple, which brings their total to 53. And no interceptions on either side in this game. The Eagles remain with 15 with 1 defensive score. Giants still with 4 interceptions, which right now is the second fewest, or would tie for the second fewest in the NFL. Only New Orleans have fewer interceptions. Closing line was Philly -7, and the over-under was 44.5. And this was the highest scoring game in Week 14 as the 2 teams combined to score 70 points. So this game shot well over that 44.5 point total. I did pick the Eagles to win and cover, and yes, I got both of them. So now I am 5-3 both straight up and against the spread this week. Eagles came in as my number 2 team in my Week 14 power rankings, while the Giants, who like their New York counterparts, the Jets, have been in a bit of a free fall. They came in at number 11. On to the late afternoon portion of the schedule, starting off with the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. And dare I say it, the Chiefs own the Broncos. Kansas City came in with a 9-3 record. Denver treading water at 3-9. The Chiefs were my number 1 team in my Week 14 power rankings, while the Broncos were way, way down at number 28. And for a while, this game turned out as you would expect, as Kansas City raced to a 27-0 lead. Game over, right? Up. Here comes Russell Wilson and the Broncos, the NFL's lowest scoring team, made things interesting. But it does come at a price for Denver, as early in the fourth quarter, quarterback Russell Wilson suffered a concussion. He hit his head very hard on that mile-high turf. And he obviously did not return. Mark Rypien would come in his place. He would lead a touchdown drive, but that was as close as the Broncos would get. As Denver does score the most points in a game this season, although it does come in a 34-28 loss to the Chiefs, who, as I said, owns Denver. They have now won 13 consecutive games against the Denver Broncos. Chiefs offense ran 65 plays, 42 passes, and 23 runs. Broncos 63 plays, 44 passes, and 19 runs. Total yards are 431 to 431 to 320. And the 431 yards were the most allowed by this Bronco defense in any game this year. Passing yards favored Kansas City, 342 to 214. Denver had the slight edge in rushing, 106 to 89. Chiefs had 20 first downs. Broncos had 17. Kansas City now has an NFL leading 318 first downs through 13 games. Denver 216. The Chiefs rather finished 6 of 12 for 50% on third down. The Broncos were 6 for 17 at 35.3%. No fourth down plays for the Chiefs. They don't go for it as often on fourth down, but when they do, they are effective, as they're hitting an NFL high 80%. Denver, meanwhile, went 1 for 2 on fourth down for 50%, and that's their average this year at 9 of 18. The Chiefs have 4 flags for 70 yards, while the Broncos have 6 for 38, and those 6 penalties gives them an NFL leading 97. That's a lot of penalties. That's about 7.5 per game. Time of possession, 30 minutes and 13 seconds for the Chiefs, and 29 minutes, 47 seconds for the Broncos. Okay, KC's offense records 39 tackles, 10 solo tackles. Totals are 551 and 223. Broncos defense records 41 tackles and 16 solo. Totals are 565 and 225. Chiefs defense racked up 6 sacks this afternoon, or Sunday afternoon, I should say, on Broncos quarterbacks, whether it's Wilson or Rypien, bringing their sack total to 42. The Broncos recorded 2 sacks on Patrick Mahomes, bringing their total to 31. All right, no fumbles were forced by either team. Chiefs remain at 8, Broncos at 15. 7 passes defense by the KC defense brings their to 62. Broncos had 5, bringing their total to 54. And this was an interception fest in this game. 3 INTs by the Bronco defense. The Chiefs, meanwhile, had 2 INTs, one of which was returned for a touchdown. So now Kansas City's defense has 8 interceptions and 2 defensive touchdowns. The Broncos defense now has 10 picks. Closing line in this game was Kansas City minus 8.5, and the over-under was at 44. They shot well over that at 62 points. Took the Chiefs to win 27-20, but I took Denver to cover. I won both picks. So now I'm 6-3, both straight up and against the spread. All right, our next game takes us to Russell Wilson's former stomping grounds, as the 7-5 Seattle Seahawks, battling in that NFC playoff race, played host to the 4-8 Carolina Panthers, who have been playing a lot better in recent weeks. The Seahawks came in at number 14 in my Week 14 power rankings. The Panthers at number 26. And the Carolina Panthers may have had their best day. They had their best rushing game of the season, as I'll illustrate in just a moment. As Carolina goes into the home of the 12s and knocks off the Seahawks 30-24. All right, the Panthers ran 70 plays, and I think this is a season high for them. 24 passes and 46 runs make up their 70 plays. The Seahawks ran only 50 plays, 36 passes, and 14 runs. All right, total yards, 328 for Carolina, 287 for Seattle. Passing yards favored Seattle, 241-105. Well, when your ground game is effective, you don't need to throw it all that much. Ask the Carolina Panthers, as they bludgeoned Seattle on the ground, 223-46, averaging nearly 5 yards per rush attempt. Carolina had 24 first downs. Seattle had 16. The Panthers, through 13 games, have an NFL low 203 first downs. The Seahawks, 269. Both teams finished 6 for 13 on third downs, both at 46.2%. Panthers went 1 for 2 on fourth down. The Seahawks 1 for 1. Carolina had 6 penalties for 29 yards. Seattle had 3 penalties for 35. Time of possession, 39 minutes, 16 seconds for the Carolina Panthers, 20 minutes, 44 seconds for the Seattle Seahawks. And this puts the Carolina Panthers in ball hawk territory, our first of the week, believe it or not. It took us 10 games to get our first ball hawk this week. If you're new and don't know what a ball hawk is a team that possesses the ball in a football game for at least 35 minutes. In most instances, that team wins the game, but there are some instances where a team holds on to the ball for 35 plus minutes and they don't win. So that's what a ball hawk is. Okay, taking a look at the defenses. The Panthers, 31 tackles, 14 solo. Their totals are now 569 and 241. Seattle had 49 tackles, 12 solo. Season totals are 646 and 336. The Panthers recorded 3 sacks on the afternoon. The Seahawks recorded 2. Carolina's sack total is now up to 28. Seattle is at 33. All right, there were no fumbles forced by either defense. So Carolina stays at 7, while the Seahawks remain at 16. The Panthers defense had 6 passes defensed, bringing their total to 48. While the Seahawks had 5 passes defensed, which brings their total to 63. There were 2 interceptions in this game, and both were recorded by the Carolina defense. That brings them to 10 with 3 defensive touchdowns, while the Seahawks remain at 11 with 1 defensive touchdown. All right, in this game, the closing line was Seattle -4. Over under was 43.5. These two teams combined for 54 points. So this game goes over the total. I picked the Panthers to win and cover, and I got both picks right. So now I am 7-3 in both my straight up and ATS picks. The last game on the Sunday afternoon schedule we'll look at is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the San Francisco 49ers. Now, these were the division leaders in both the NFC South and NFC West, respectively. All right, Tampa Bay came into this game with a 6-6 record, while the 49ers came in at 8-4. If the playoffs began on Sunday, San Francisco would be the number 3 seed in the NFC, Tampa Bay the number 4, despite having a 500 record in a very weak division. All right, and once again, it was no Jimmy G, no problem for San Francisco, as Brock Purdy and the Niners offense went off once again, demolishing the Buccaneers 35-7. And this was a homecoming of sorts for Bucs quarterback and Bay Area native Tom Brady. I think I read somewhere that about 150 family members showed up to the game. And boy, it was an ugly show for them and every Bucs fan the world over. As again, the Buccaneers got demolished. They did run 74 plays for a second straight week, 55 passes and 19 runs. Of course, they ran 74 plays last Monday night against New Orleans. 49ers offense ran 59 plays, 23 passes, and 36 runs. Total yards were 404 for San Francisco, 322 for Tampa. Passing yards favored the Buccaneers, 253 to 195. Rush yards favored the Niners, 209 to 69. First downs, 24 for San Francisco, 18 for Tampa. On the season, the Buccaneers have 263, while the 49ers have 270. Tampa Bay was god-awful on third down, 4 of 16, 25%. The Niners, they were okay, but not great, 4 of 9, 44.4%. How about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense? Attempting 7 fourth down plays. They converted 4 of them. So that's not a loss. And the Niners went 1 for 2 on fourth down. But Tampa was hit hard by the penalties. They had 8 of them for 62. The Niners, not so much. Only 2 flags for 15. Time of possession, 32 minutes, 40 seconds for San Francisco. 27 minutes, 20 seconds for Tampa Bay. As for the defenses, Buccaneers had 46 tackles, 21 solo. Their season totals are 570 and 286. The 49ers had 49 tackles and 19 solo. Totals are 532 and 255. And believe it or not, there were no sacks in this game by either team. So the Bucs stay at 38. The 49ers stay 1 sack below them at 37. There were 3 fumbles forced in this game by each defense. 2 by the 49ers, which gives them 12, and 1 by the Buccaneers, which gives them 10. Tampa Bay had 2 passes defense, brings their total to 39. San Francisco had 5 passes defense, brings their total to 59. And the Niners recorded the 2 interceptions in this game, which brings their season total to 14. And a defensive touchdown, because I think there was I'll have to look at it real quick. Let me back out of the standings. And up. There we go. Go to week 14. Tampa Bay, San Francisco, play-by-play. Because I think there was let's see. I'm looking at all the Niners scoring plays. Deebo Samuel, 13-yard touchdown run. Brock Purdy, 2-yard touchdown run. Christian McCaffrey, 27-yard receiving touchdown. Okay, there was not a fumble return in this game for a touchdown. So yeah, these numbers are correct. All right, so the Niners are now at 14 interceptions with 3 defensive touchdowns. The Buccaneers remain at 7 interceptions and 1 touchdown. Closing line was San Francisco minus 3.5. Over under was 38.5. And this game slightly finished above that at 42 points. I did pick Tampa Bay for the Tom Brady effect. But we all know what happened there. They lost the game and they failed to cover as the Niners take this one. So that would make me 7-4 straight up and against the spread after this loss. Now to Sunday Night Football and the 8-4 Miami Dolphins at the 6-6 Los Angeles Chargers. So the last game, Tampa Bay was number 15 and San Francisco was number 3. In this game, the Miami Dolphins were ranked at number 8 in my Week 14 power rankings. The Chargers at 19. And for the second week in a row, Tua Tagovailoa did not look good at all, as the Dolphins end up losing this game 23-17. Oh, and the Chargers win, by the way, prevented the Chiefs from claiming the AFC West title. So now the Chiefs will have to wait until this week to win the division. And for the second week in a row, the Dolphins offense ran fewer than 50 plays. This week they ran 47, 28 passes, and 19 runs. At the same time, the Dolphins defense allowed 70-plus plays to the opposition, as they allowed 74 plays to the Chargers, 51 passes, and 23 runs. All right, the Chargers outgained the Dolphins 432-219, as Miami averaged less than 4.7 yards per run. The Chargers also outgained Miami 350-127 through the air, but rushing yards slightly favored the Dolphins, 92-82. All right, the Chargers had 24 first downs versus 14 for the Dolphins, and both teams have 269 total first downs through 13 games. All right. And unlike last week, the Dolphins did convert some third downs. They were 3 of 11 for 27.3%. Now, couple that with the 0 for 7 performance against the Niners last week, Miami is 3 for 18 on third downs over the last 2 games. That's not good. Chargers 9 of 18 for 50%. Dolphins ran no fourth down plays. The Chargers ran a couple, converting 1. Both teams had 6 penalties in this game, 50 yards on 6 penalties for the Dolphins. and 40 yards on 6 penalties for the Chargers. Time of possession is 39 minutes and 38 seconds for the Chargers, 20 minutes, 22 seconds for the Dolphins. And so the Los Angeles Chargers will be our ball hawks of the week for week number 14 as they possess the ball longer than any team across the National Football League. So major congratulations to Brandon Staley and the LA Chargers. All right, turning our attention now to defense. Miami had 51 tackles, 29 solo. Totals are 571 and 253. Chargers had 27 tackles and 16 solo. Totals are 530 and 249. The Dolphins did record 4 sacks, so that's good. Their season total is now at 33. And the Chargers had 2 sacks in this game, bringing their total to 24. Only 1 fumble in the game, and that was by the Chargers defense. That's their 12th of the year, while the Dolphins remain at 10. All right, 0 passes defense for the Miami defense. They stay at 51. The Chargers, meanwhile, had 6, brings their total to 47, and no interceptions on either end, which keeps the Dolphins with 7 and the Chargers with 9, including a defensive touchdown. Closing line in this game is Miami -3, and the over-under was 55. This game ended up finishing well under that at 40 points. I picked the Chargers to win and to cover as the home underdog, got both picks. So that puts me at 8-4 both ways. And then the final game on the rundown is Monday Night Football, with the New England Patriots with a 6-6 record visiting the Arizona Cardinals with a 4-8 record. And let me preface this by saying there were a lot of injuries in this game. I think the biggest injury of them all was the Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray, who left this game early with what some thought was a concussion. But according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, ends up being a torn ACL. I mean, you saw the replay last night as he was running for a first down. He gingerly went down MCL. And so his status to start next season is up in the air. So the problems continue to mount for the Arizona Cardinals. And I mentioned all the injuries. It wasn't just Murray. James Conner went out for a spell for Arizona. The Patriots lost Parker. The Patriots lost Devontae Parker. They lost Ramondre Stevenson for a spell. They lost Josh Jones on their defense. So, yeah, it was kind of like a mash unit for a while there. But injuries or no injuries, the game had to be played. And it was Bill Belichick's Patriots who came out on top in this one, winning 27-13, which may have effectively ended Arizona's playoff chances at this point, while saving New England's in the process. Patriots offense ran 56 plays, 35 passes, 21 runs. Arizona ran 63 plays, 41 passes, and 22 runs. All right. Total yards were nearly split between the two teams. 328 yards for the Patriots and 323 for the Cardinals. Passing yards favored New England, 225 to 210. Rushing yards, slight advantage to Arizona, 113 to 103. Same with first downs. The Cardinals had 19, the Patriots had 18. After 13 games, the Patriots sit with 220 first downs. The Cardinals have 264. Both teams struggled on third down as they were both below 30%. New England was 3 of 11 for 27.3. Arizona was 4 for 14 for 28.6. No fourth down plays for the Patriots offense, but the Cardinals ran 5 fourth down plays and only converted 1 for 20%. So that's going to hurt their average. So this Arizona Cardinals offense that was hitting first downs with regularity early in the season kind of hit a brick wall in this category, as they are now 17 for 37. So they still have the most fourth down attempts of any team in the NFL, but they are below 50% in conversions on fourth downs. And both teams were hit with the laundry. 8 penalties on both teams, 80 yards for the Patriots, 48 for the Cardinals. And the 8 flags for Arizona puts them at 91, which makes them the second most penalized team in the NFL behind the Broncos and the most penalized team in the NFC. Time of possession is 33 minutes and 31 seconds for the Cardinals and 26 minutes, 29 seconds for the New England Patriots. Okay. As far as defense, 50 tackles and 15 solo for New England. Totals are 553 and 209. Arizona's defense, 34 tackles and 11 solo. Totals are 560 and 290. How about the Patriots defense? They got 6 sacks on the night. Brings their total to 44. The Cardinals only got 1, which is their 24th of the season. Only 1 fumble in the game, and that was by the Patriots defense, and that ended up going for a touchdown back in the second quarter. That's their 10th interception of the season, while the Cardinals remain at 11. New England had 4 passes defense, bringing their total to 53. Arizona had 5 passes defense, which brings them to 61. Each team had an interception. And, of course, New England had, as I said, that fumble recovery that was returned for a touchdown. So I'll count that into the defense. So now the Patriots defense has 13 interceptions and now 3 defensive touchdowns. The Arizona Cardinals now have 8 interceptions, but they still remain with an NFL-leading 5 defensive touchdowns. They would have had number 6 if a flag wasn't thrown on a fumble return for a touchdown. I think that was in the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. But I did watch the game. Closing line was New England -2, which I think was criminal. And the over-under was 44. And they nearly got there as the 2 teams combined for 40 points. So this game goes under. I took the Patriots to win and to cover, and I got both picks. And so that brings us to the 6 teams that were off in Week 14, and these are the last 6 teams with the week off. They were the 5-8 Atlanta Falcons, who are ranked at number 21 in my Week 14 power rankings. The 3-10 Chicago Bears, ranked number 30 and officially eliminated from playoff contention. The 5-8 Green Bay Packers, who are ranked at number 22. The 4-8-1 Indianapolis Colts, who are ranked at number 27. The 4-9 New Orleans Saints, who are ranked at number 29. And the 7-5-1 Washington Commanders, ranked at number 10. Okay, we'll take a look at this week's power rankings right after we update the current standings in the NFL as we put Week 14 behind us. And we'll start with the AFC North, where it's still a tie at the top and a tie at the bottom. The Baltimore Ravens and Cincinnati Bengals remain tied atop the AFC North, both at 9-4. With Cincinnati's red hot, they've won 5 straight games, while the Cleveland Browns and Pittsburgh Steelers are tied in the basement at 5-8. The Buffalo Bills have opened up a 2-game lead in the AFC East with a 10-3 record. They have won 4 in a row, while the Miami Dolphins, losing back-to-back games on their West Coast trip, fall to 8-5. And then the New England Patriots and the New York Jets are both 7-6, with the Jets, like Miami, having lost back-to-back games. The Tennessee Titans have lost 3 straight, and at 7-6, their lead in the AFC South is starting to shrink a little bit. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the team that beat them in Nashville, is 5-8 and only 2 games out. So yes, Jacksonville is lurking Tennessee. In third place with a 3-game losing streak are the Indianapolis 4-8-1. And in fourth place, eliminated from playoff contention, the Houston Texans 1-11-1. And they have lost 8 games in a row, which is the longest current losing streak in the NFL. And the Kansas City Chiefs still have a stranglehold in the AFC West at 10-3. They're still 3 up on the second place LA Chargers at 7-6. Then you got the Las Vegas Raiders hanging around in that AFC playoff race at 5-8. By the way, I'll update the playoff races when I make my Week 15 picks on Thursday. And sitting in last place and officially out of the playoffs, the Denver Broncos at 3-10. They have lost 5 straight games. Jumping to the NFC. The Minnesota Vikings, 4-game lead in the NFC North with 4 to play. Unfortunately, they could not beat the Lions on Sunday and win the division. They'll have to wait till this week. They're 10-3. The Lions are 6-7. And yes, they are alive and well in that NFC playoff race, as are the Green Bay Packers at 5-8. Oh, by the way, the Lions, 5 wins in their last 6 games. And in last place, and the only NFC team eliminated from the playoffs, the Chicago Bears at 3-10. They've lost 6 games in a row. All right. In the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles, first team to clinch a playoff spot. They're 12-1 and winners of 4 straight. Keeping pace, the Dallas Cowboys at 10-3, also winners of 4 straight. The Washington Commanders and New York Giants are tied for third at 7-5-1. And the 2 teams will meet in DC on Sunday night. Then you've got the weak AFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers continue to lead the division at 6-7. Yes, that's a losing record. The Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons are tied for second at 5-8. The tiebreaker at this point would go to Carolina, as the Panthers have won 2 in a row. And in last place, the New Orleans Saints at 4-9. They've lost 2 in a row, as have the Falcons. And in the NFC West is the San Francisco 49ers with a 9-4 record and a 6-game winning streak. And I think that is the longest current win streak in the NFL. It is. The Seattle Seahawks, who the Niners play on Thursday night, sit at 7-6. So if the Niners win this game, that NFC West race is pretty much a wrap. The Arizona Cardinals, losers of 3 straight, and the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams make up the bottom of the NFC, both at 4-9. So that's a look at the current NFL standings. Again, we'll update the playoff races on Thursday. Now, as we close things out on this edition of the week that was, it's time to unveil my Week 15 power rankings. Now, as I said at the beginning, I had a tough time ranking this week's power rankings. I think I have to rewrite them like 2 or 3 times, but I think I got the correct list. I got the right teams in the right places. So here's hoping. All right, number 32, still in the same spot, is the Houston Texans. Number 31 is the Chicago Bears, trading spots with the Los Angeles Rams, who moved back up to 30. Bears are down from 30 and the Rams are up from 31. 29 is the Denver Broncos, down from 28. Essentially trading spots with the New Orleans Saints, who move up from 29 to 28. 27 is the Arizona Cardinals, down from 23. 26 is the Cleveland Browns, down from 24. 25, despite not playing last week, the Indianapolis Colts, up from 27. 24 is the Carolina Panthers, up from 26, and this was one of the teams I had a tough time ranking. I was like, I should put them further up, but I decided, 24 is a good spot for them. 23 is the Green Bay Packers, down from 22. Number 22 is the Jacksonville Jaguars, down from 25. The Atlanta Falcons at 21 and the Las Vegas Raiders at 20 both remain in the same spot. And I just couldn't get myself to punish the Raiders for losing that game the way they did. I think personally they deserved a much better fate than they got on Thursday night. Just saying. Number 19 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, down from 18. Or make that down from 16 or 15. So after getting blitzed by the Niners, they fall 4 spots. Number 18 is the Pittsburgh Steelers, same spot as last week. Likewise with the New York Jets at number 17, same spot as last week. Number 16 is the Tennessee Titans, dropping from number 12. That was an inexcusable loss to the Jaguars. Also taking a 4-point tumble are the New York Giants at number 15, down from 11. Number 14, the Los Angeles Chargers, down from 19. Number 13 is the Detroit Lions, up from 16, and I may have them overrated a bit. And number 12, this is kind of controversial. I have the Seattle Seahawks at number 12. They're up from 14. Even though they lost to the Panthers, I really had nowhere to put this team. Number 11 is the New England Patriots, up from 13. Number 10, the Miami Dolphins, down from 8. Number 9 is the Washington Commanders, up from 10. Number 8 is the Baltimore, up from 9. 7 is the Minnesota Vikings, down from 6. 6 is the Dallas Cowboys, down from 4. 5 is the Cincinnati Bengals, up from 7. Number 4 is the Buffalo Bills, up from 5. Number 3 is the Kansas City Chiefs, down from number 1, and I had to move them down because they should have blown the Broncos right out of the water, knowing how bad that offense was. They should have blown this Denver team out, but they allowed them to get back in the game after they led 27-0. I was like, this is my number 1 team. Yeah, I'm busting them down this week, and that's what I did. So we have a new number one, spoiler alert. Number 2 is the San Francisco 49ers, up from number 3. And the aforementioned new number 1 team is the Philadelphia Eagles, up from number 2. And that is it, folks. That was the week that was, as we looked at the offensive and defensive stats from week 14 in the NFL. We also updated the NFL standings, and you just heard my week 15 power rankings and the reasons why I ranked teams where I ranked them. Okay, so that is it for this week 14 edition of the week that was. We do this every Tuesday, primarily in the morning. I was a little late this week, but I usually get this out on Tuesday mornings. So we'll be back then for that. I'll be getting to work tomorrow on week number 15, as 506sports.com will be releasing the NFL maps for Sunday afternoon's games and all the announcer teams for each game. So that map will be coming out tomorrow, and I'll be working on that. Then I'll make my week 15 picks, both straight up and against the spread. That's coming up on Thursday, as well as a look at the updated playoff races entering week 15. And I think I may have some playoff clinching scenarios for you as well then. So join me for all of that. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And ring the bell. Get notified every time I drop a live vid. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching and enjoy the pigskin. Peace out.